Alrighty, folks. So, I don't know when this is going to end up coming out, because I don't know exactly how I'm going to split it up. But I've put a couple more levels into Pugilist, and when Stormblood rolls around, I want to have Monk at least 60. So, let's unlock Monk so I can keep doing dungeons without having to feel weird about not having my job done. Brother from another mother. Tell me, you know Professor Eric? He's a scholar of Eorzean military history, whose genius is second to none, and he's amongst our most valued clients. Some find me to be verbose, tedious, haughty, but never mind all that. The man spends more gil on a moon's research than most people see in a lifetime, hence our amicable relations. His latest work has him visiting the sites of ancient battlefields. He insists on surveying lands plagued by savage beasts. According to him, the beasts keep man away, and less intrusion by man means greater preservation. Whatever his reasons, should the professor meet an untimely fate, he will be unable to collect the gil he has borrowed, much less the interest. Oh, it would be a terrible loss for the academic community, and so on and so forth. Yeah. The point is the man must needs be guarded. To that end, I sent a monk of Alamigo to see to his safety, but it turns out the bloody oaf has no work ethic about him, just like an Alamigan. Whoa! Kakaruna, that is not cool. The professor cannot focus on his work if he feels endangered, and so has demanded we assign him a new bodyguard. That's why I'm so glad to see you, Ny'ardbert. The professor is awaiting his new escort as we speak, and I'd like for it to be you. You are yet a mere pugilist. Perhaps this task would provide some insight into what it is the monkhood does around here. Make for the Goldsmiths Guild, and there seek out our good Professor Eric. The professor claims he will pay his debt and the fees for his protection once his research is complete. See to it our investment doesn't end up under the paw or in the maw of some nasty beast. So it occurs to me, I don't know if I've ever seen the monk job gear. Like, we're not gonna get, like, that'll be pretty late into this video if it's in this video at all. Because I think you start getting that at level 45? But I don't know what the default monk gear is. Hello, Professor Eric. Ah, my punch-prone manservant, I presume. You may and shall call me Eric. You are to guard my life, even at the cost of your own, and aid in my revolutionary research wherever and however asked. Know that my primary endeavor is to reconstruct the military histories of old through the ethereal analysis of ancient battlegrounds. I assume the words conjure in your mind simple romantic images of vast plains and open valleys with armies charging blindly at one another. False! I seek to know where the armies of old were deployed, where they made camp and marched. No doubt you think such lands to be those sung of in the Song of Bards. False! They are here, beneath our very feet, and to find them and determine precisely how events unfolded upon them is my purpose. No doubt you jumped at the chance to aid in my work. Tell me, which of my treaties have you read? All of them? None? Gods, I knew you adventurers had a reputation for being unlettered. I didn't know you actually made efforts to remain so. It matters not. I require only that you work with diligence. Unlike that Wittergelt buffoon, the man proved to be sloth itself. Alas, he is a monk of Alamigo. I suppose the fool was too busy opening his chakra or whatever it is those barbarians do all day. I admit, he seemed keenly interested in my research, but now he's gone off to 12 knows where and is yet to return. Do you understand the sheer magnitude of this inconvenience? Sure. Good, good. You show that much promise, at least. But let us speak more of my work. Our first destination is the Silde excavation site in central Thanalan. I believe events of great import to the history of Silde transpired there. Surely if you have ears, you've heard of Silde. Or are you deaf as well as dull? Very well. I see you require some instruction. It would be remiss of me as an academic to allow you to wallow in such ignorance. Sildi was plunged into chaos in the wake of King Lalawefu's demise, or the King of Springs as he was known. Despite the success of economic reforms, fomented unrest among the people, resulting in violent outbreaks throughout the kingdom. Sildi was Sultan at the time, distant descendant. Attack was ordered. And so, irony of ironies, hadn't been for that horse. Fascinating, is it not? It is enough to convince one things could not have happened any other way, no? False! One among my colleagues disagreed with this interpretation of events. He claimed to have evidence suggesting otherwise, but all trace of it disappeared before it was ever published. Mine own research shall unearth any such evidence, should it truly exist. I shall know the truth. Granted, you are not the brightest coal in the brazier, but surely such a prospect entices even you. And so, we make for the Silda excavation site in central Thanalan. Travel the way before me to see that it is safe, and once there, set up this aetherometer. And, should you ever care to know more of the Eorzean military history, do come and see me. It's a personal crusade of mine to guide the dullards of this realm towards some modicum of enlightenment. Can I actually ask you that? Huh, an honest inquiry. That sad, wonderful moment when ignorant curiosity overcomes pride. Right then, let's begin. Oh, I can actually ask? Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I need hardly mention that Sildan civilization is now centuries dead. Silda was plunged into chaos in the wake of King Lalawefu's demise, or wait, this is the same thing. Despite the success of his economic reforms, the tax increases he imposed did not sit well with his subjects. This, coupled with a prolonged sequence of untimely droughts, fomented unrest among the people and in time sparked violent unrest throughout the kingdom. Silda was not alone in its want for water. Ul'dah too felt the effect of the droughts. The Sultan at the time, Sasagan ul Sisagan, perhaps you recognize the Ul name. The current Sultana, Nanamo ul Namo, represents the second Ul dynasty. She is Sasagan's distant descendant. Now, where was I? Yes, right. So Sasagan ordered an attack on Silda to claim the water resources discovered as a result of Lalawefu's flood control act. But the royalty and nobility of Silda would not remain idle. They mobilized their nation in the face of this crisis, and the people fought with great tenacity against the Ul'dah threat. The full strength of both nations met in battle, and the end result was an arduous, protracted conflict. Though arguably more desirable than a surrender, the ruling Sildan elite took little pleasure in having succeeded in uniting the theretofore querulous citizenry to fight. For despite all they accomplished, every day spent waging war dragged the nation's financial affairs, which you recall had only just been brought under control, back into the mire. To bring an end to the long military deadlock, Silda devised and set about implementing a perverse yet ambitious strategy. It sought to zombify the deceased amongst its army, that they might fight again. At first it appeared to have worked, yet at the height of hostilities the Sildans lost control over their necrotic creations. The undead turned on their masters, and before long the zombification had spread to a majority of the population. Ever knowing an opportunity when they saw one, the Uldans used this to justify their war, now proclaiming it a crusade to send these zombies to Thal. After seeing to the extermination of all zombies outside the city, they then sealed the gates of Silda, entrapping both the living and the dead within. And that, in brief, is a history of the fall of Silda. I only pray that your feeble mind is able to retain it. I appreciate the summary, and do not appreciate the insults. Ny'ardbert might have his head be empty, but that's because it's ready to be filled with learning, obviously. I retain none of that. Central final line, right? Okay. The Sildan history actually is something that I think is pretty cool. There's a fair amount of like little callbacks to it. It's not like a huge thing in the story, at least the bits of it that I've seen, but it is something that gets brought up a reasonable amount. Ooh, instance. Setting up the aetherometer. Well done. Now, we need only wait for the aetherometer to gauge the... There are fiends about Ny'ardbert. They're often drawn to the lingering sense of blood and death. Well, this is what you're here for. Have at it. Alright, sir. I'm gonna beat the shit out of some imps. Beat the bloody hells out of the blasted things. There are measurements to be taken. Yes, that's it. The data's flowing now. Oh, it's a big one. Ah, here comes a true foe. Fascinating. This data will prove invaluable. Wittergeld, so good of you to drag yourself all the way, you purblind sluggard. Ah, Ny'ardbert, you have far exceeded what admittedly low expectations I had of you. I suppose introductions are in order, far be it from me to deny the realms unread the comfort of one another's company. Wittergeld, Ny'ardbert, Wittergeld, the monk I spoke of, sent to me by Rerun. I like your shoulder pieces. I tried to make a pupil of Wittergeld as well, but he has little mind for history. His primitive beliefs in the witchcraft of chakra and spiritual energies have tenacious hold on him. Oh, truly? This is the area there have been sightings of walking dead? I've heard the tales. Some claim they've seen an apparition wearing the garb of an ancient commander. Careful. There are still dangers about. His work is dear to him. That is good. He thirsts for knowledge, for truth. Discovery awakens him. You too have awoken, friend. Can you not feel it? Do not be frightened. Here was a battle. Long ago. Much energy remains. It has found you. It flows through you. Your chakra has been opened. This was the light that shone from you. It is as Eric said. Wittergeld is my name. I am a brother of the monkhood. My order is the Fist of Ralgar. Our way is to train the body and mind. The fist is our weapon. With it we put down our enemies. The energy within us moves the fist. The chakra is the seat of that energy. It is a sacred place. It can be opened, and the life force within controlled. Chakra exists in all that lives, in all beings, yet not all beings can open them. Much training is needed, and great discipline, and with these, the life force can be commanded. There are those who require no training. Their inner strength is such that it forces the chakra open. I have heard of this happening, but never have I seen it until now. I see in you great conviction. You mean to walk the monk's path, and so I will give you this, a soul crystal, the mark of my order. None but a monk may hold it, and only then would the orders leave. But your chakra is awakened, that is clear, and so you are worthy. Many bore that crystal before you. It remembers them, their breath and their movement. They will one day be yours, but your chakra must open further. Only then can the crystal's memories enter you. This is no more than the beginning. Now you must train. Learn to control the life force within you. With time, you will master it. We stand on an ancient battleground. A great war was waged here. The spirit of the fight lingers. The ether reaches for the chakra. It aids in their opening. That is why we monks seek such lands. Eric seeks these lands for reasons of his own. The fates favor you in this. Follow him. Your chakra will grow evermore. Professor Eric is leaving. Fear not. I will see to his safety. Please, brother, the aetherometer. Gather it and bring it to the Goldsmiths Guild. Huh. That was something. So it's like the place I get my quests from for this, and the Goldsmiths Guild? That's kind of a funky place for this to be. Well, look who's decided to grace us with his presence. Did you enjoy the saunter back? I was just about to begin my analysis, so if you've matters you wish to speak on, I'd ask that you save it for... An odd contraption used for measuring surrounding ether levels. Here's your device. You probably forgot it. You've brought the aetherometer. Excellent. I had a feeling you might not be entirely useless. Now, let us see what discoveries await. Weird Guild passed along a soul crystal to you. Moved to join the monkhood by the bone-headed clod, were you? Well, I suppose it is for the best that my pupils get along. But I do believe I will see to it you are sent to separate locations for the next round of measurements, and I dare say the land to which I intend to send you is fraught with dangers. You'd best tread the monk's path quickly if you mean to defend yourself, and me besides. Hell yeah. It's available at level 35, which is to say... Why is it not in... Sorry, did this also go to my inventory? That is very funny. Right now. What gauge changed? The chakra gauge indicates the number of chakra a monk currently has opened. Chakra opened using the action medication or by using certain weapon skills. Meditation, not medication. Opening 5 allows for the execution of Steel Peak and Howling Fist, acquired at level 40. That's not new. I had that before. Like, I do physic all the time, so I still need to get used to actually using it, but... Ooh! A gap closer! Ah, just the people I was hoping to see. I was a hair's breadth from setting out on my own. To look at you. Yes, I dare say you appear to have been growing in brawn at the expense of brain. Right, well, let us measure some ether, shall we? And by we, I mean you. Oh, and that monk simpleton, of course. Though contrary to his nature, he has already set out for the destination I assigned him. Thinking perhaps that you are far too stupid to take, much less understand etheric readings? It is true, you are stupid, but the aetherometer shall do all the work for you, and transmit the data back to me. As souls more, suited to action, the monk simpleton and yourself need only carry the device on your person and set about beating on things as you always do. It shall capture data as you trudge about hither and yon. Ether is not only the source of all magics, but also the fount of all life. Yet despite its ubiquity, it remains imperceptible. When a living thing dies, the ether comprising its life is released. When this discharge takes place, a portion of that ether remains, lingering in the physical world. No doubt you have ethereal crystallizations, physical manifestations, apparitions of the deceased, luminescent glow, known as the ethereal threshold. In short, the more violent and dramatic the loss of life, the greater the amount of ether left behind, either in its imperceptible form or in crystallizations. And where are the most lives lost in this manner? Cemeteries? No, false, you idiot! Battlefields! Do you not see? With etheric readings of those locations, we can discern the scale and more of the battles that took place there. As for those fool beliefs that the monkhood keeps, chakra and spiritual energies and whatnot, if I were to allow that they truly exist, I would be inclined to say they are one and the same as ether itself. The ether churning around these ancient battle sites comes to naturally settle in the surrounding life, both plant and animal, though more so in the latter. It accumulates within them. Felling these beasts then releases that ether, causing a surge that resonates with the ether within you, causing it to expand, a so-called opening of the chakra. By this, the very power of life itself within you grows. A watered-down explanation, but adequate for one of your mental prowess, I believe. Mine own wife never had the patience for such things either, nor my passion. She cursed me in my work, took our children, and returned to Alamigo. Oh. There's a lot to unpack there. But now is not the time for that tale. The area I am placing you in your charge is Bloodshore in eastern Lunasia. Place this etherometer in an appropriate location, and after a spell, retrieve it and bring it to me. I obtain the data I require, and you and that monk simpleton are afforded the chance to indulge your, how shall I put it, charming little backward fantasies. All are happy. Ideally, I would prefer you have a knowledgeable understanding of Bloodshore's history, but I fear we lack the time for me to educate you. I need hardly tell you that my research takes precedence over your schooling. Okay, I'll go do that, but when I get back, I am kind of curious. Because I was not aware that Bloodshore was a battlefield at all. Let alone a significant one. I mean, it makes sense. It's called the Bloodshore. It had to get that name somehow. I just think I just kind of... not get added to my thing? It did not. Alright. Really weird having 2 of 3 parts of a AoE combo. The ancient Step into the battleground opens a chakra within you. Oh, short quest. Alright, back to Ul'dah we go. And to the Goldsmiths Guild. I didn't see Wittergelt there. I wonder if he was sent somewhere else. Have you brought the thermometer? Yes, here you go. It seems the device has suffered some damage. I suppose such things are unavoidable in this line of work. I must see to its repair at once. That is, after all, why I put up here at the Goldsmiths Guild. The thermometer is no ordinary device. What is going on over there? Anyway. I came up with the elaborate design myself, had the finest engineers at Garland Ironworks draft the schematics, and then commissioned the most talented goldsmiths to fabricate it. Wittergelt delivered the result of his outing not long ago. I must insist that you take your leave of me now. There is a wealth of data for me to analyze, and I fear that simply having you nearby will somehow affect the processing power of my brain. Repairing the thermometer, determining which locations to next investigate, will require some time. Why don't you go and train those muscles of yours, or whatever it is you do in my absence? Okay, can I talk to you? No? You don't have history for me? Professor Eric seeks further aid in his ethereal research. Ah, dear Ny'ardbert, so good of you to trouble yourself to come. Normally I might be cross, but my spirits are far too high just now, and it is you I have to thank. I speak of the data you procured. It is simply marvelous. You have a true gift for grunt work, my friend. I wish I had 100 more assistants just like you. I have been in this field for a very long time, and I have been alone. Ever since that unfortunate mulled tea fungus culture incident sparked my passion for research. I regret nothing, Ny'ardbert, save perhaps having to share so wondrous a world with souls as unlearned as yourself. Still, your performance has not left me completely bereft of joy. It is rewarding to think that my instruction has guided you to such success. There, how was that? Shall we dispense with any further pleasantries? Very good, then. I made yet another career-defining discovery while pondering which battlegrounds to measure next. Eorzea is home to numerous locations where the Aether is in an intensely chaotic state, yet which never played host to any war. My hypothesis was that such flux in the Aether was indicative of a past battle, and all my research was predicated upon this. But turn the theory on its head, Ny'ardbert, if your mind is able. What if the people of the past chose areas of roiling Aether to hold their battles? I've already sent the simpleton monk to take measurements at the fine sand banks. As you are doubtless unaware, this lies on the border between Alamigo and Gridania, and was the stage of the Autumn War. I ask that you find our monk friend and collect his etherometer. Manual and tedious, yes, but he has an early make of the device that is unable to transmit data. I gather the numbskull is in Little Alamigo in southern Thanalan by this time. You think I ask much of you? False, I ask more! Your other task is to travel to Snakemolt in the South Shroud, and there take measurements with your own etherometer. I will continue with my research here in your absence. Mind you, if you care to know aught at all of the Autumn War and the fine sand banks upon which it was fought, I will gladly enlighten you. You need only ask. Can you tell me what the Bloodshore is? Yes. Very well. Prepare to learn all you ever cared to and more of the land known as Bloodshore. The Sanguine nomenclature derives from a truly horrific battle, which took place there some 50 years ago. The two greatest pirate fleets of the day, the League of Lost Bastards and the followers of Richard Mistbeard, met one another at sea just off the coast. And to this very day, none can say with certainty who shot first, nor why. Mayhap there was no good reason at all. All know the two pirate leaders loathed one another, and when dealing with pirates, little more than that is needed to ignite a war. By the by, it just so happens that the head of the League of Lost Bastards, one Blofus, was father to the current Admiral of Luminsa. It is told the old sea dog wished for his daughter to take command of his fleet upon his death. But that is a tale for another time. Suffice it to say, a shot was fired, and the mightiest pirate armadas in the realms came to fight one of the bloodiest naval battles in Eorzean history. All told, 7 galleys were sunk that day, and dozens of smaller warships. 4 of the 7 galleys went down in mere moments. When at last the smoke cleared and the cannons fell silent, hundreds lay dead on the ocean's bottom. It is said that the foam of the tides was tinged red with blood for days after the battle, and bodies washed ashore for weeks to follow. So as you can see, geography and history are inextricably linked. Regrettably, the region has recently been purchased by a wealthy Uldan merchant named Gegareju. He has chosen to turn a blind eye to the land's history and has taken to calling it Costa del Sol. And I believe I will stop there concerning Bloodshore and allow your feeble brain to process all that it has heard. Okay. And what are the Fine Sandbanks? The Fine Sandbanks have a rich history indeed. They are found on the west shore of the Veladina River, at the foot of a now-extinct volcano overlooking the Rothlet Sound. The area is a sedimentary basin formed by the deposit of the fine silts and sands carried by the river. Today, it falls within Gridanian territory, but in days past, it belonged to my own home nation, Alamigo. Wait, you're Alamigan. Weren't you dunking on Alamigans, or is it just Alamigan monks that you have an issue with? A century ago, King Manfred came to power in Alamigo and decided to expand the nation's territory in order to promote economic growth. To that end, he ordered the Alamigan army to undertake large-scale campaigns that would eventually lead to the onset of the Autumn War. Naturally, such action was met with vehement opposition from the other nations. Redania, fearing encroachment along its border with Alamigo, placed the renowned lancer Van Chalon in command of its standing armies, and war began. His opponent was Ny'ardbert, the great general of Alamigo, a fervent believer in the Fist of Ralgar, and a man who enjoyed enormous popularity among the Alamigan people. The two leaders were loved by their troops, and at the outbreak of war, morale on both sides was very high. The armies clashed time and again all along the border, neither general yielding in Ilm, but in a galling twist of fate for Gridania, Van Chalon suddenly took deathly ill. After no victor emerged following the Battle of Fine Sandbanks, Van Chalon devised a new strategy. He ordered his forces to retreat to Camp Nine Ivies, fully intending for Ny'ardbert to give chase. This would lure the Alamegans to terrain more favorable and familiar to the Gridanians. He died, however, before he was able to see his plan executed. Now, the man who would replace him, Osborne, was extremely ambitious and eager to prove his worth to the Seedseers. Having neither the mind nor patience for Van Chalon's defensive war, however, he ordered a frontal assault on the Alamegan position. When Ny'ardbert learned of this plan, if plan it may be called, he secretly deployed troops to the most vital points along the Fine Sand banks. The Gridanian forces had scarcely entered the area before they began to suffer heavy losses from highly coordinated Alamegan ambushes. In response, Osborne ordered a forced march, permitting his troops no rest for several days, as he attempted to surge through the region. Eventually exhausted, the Gridanians came to entrench themselves on a hill. But this is precisely what Ny'ardbert had wanted. He surrounded the hill with 6,000 soldiers to deny the Forestborn any hope of retrieving water, and then proceeded to rain down barrage after barrage of arrows upon the encampment. In this seemingly hopeless position, the morale of the Gridanians quickly dwindled. Following 2 failed attempts to break free, Osborne himself led the van in a third and final charge. In the end, Gridania was defeated. Osborne and several of his officers were captured, and the legendary staff Claustrum lent him by one of the Seedseers was taken. This abject defeat accounted for what little morale remained among his surviving troops, and they beat a desperate retreat to 5 Hangs with the relentless Alamegans harrying them every step of the way. Ny'ardbert's victory brought him ever greater accolades from his country, and as a result, both he and the Fist of Ralgar came to wield considerable political power. And that is a brief history of the Fine Sand Banks. No, you needn't thank me. Knowing there is a little less ignorance in the world is all the reward I require. You know, if you could, like, manage your ego even slightly better, you'd make a pretty solid history teacher. Tell the little amigo. Alright, Wittergelt. I'm here to pick up your thing. You have come far. It is good to see you, brother. You come for my thermometer. It is not ready to give. My work is not finished. I came as soon as I was told, but the readings require more time. Do not worry, they'll be ready soon. You make for snake molt in the South Shroud. Eric believes the ether's strong there, yet that land hosted no great battles. He told me as much this morn. Leave me to my task here. Make for snake molt. Take your readings. My work will soon be done. I will bring the device to you. I have troubled you to come here. I will not trouble you to wait. Go. We will meet again at snake molt, brother. Alright, fair. Snake molt is not the name of the place. Okay, so he's right that the chakra is tumultuous if it opened a chakra for me. Oh, hey there. Well done, brother. I feel your chakra. It has grown. I hoped to arrive before you, but I see I am late. This land's power has gone to you. There is nothing left for me here. It is as I told you. We monks travel where ether flows strong. There we train. The power of the land enter us. Thus our chakra expand. This bonding causes great unrest. The land's energy becomes unstable. It will enter no other until it calms. I feel nothing here, as you would feel nothing at Fine Sand Banks. That land bonded to my chakra, and its ether is now at unrest. The teacher's work means nothing. I took no readings. I meant to hasten here, but I was delayed. There was a gathering of the monkhood. I was summoned to Little Alamigo. The teacher's chidings? Worry not, I will use my device here. Any result will suffice. The man has already reached his conclusion. He will twist the data to fit. It is a sad existence, to sacrifice all for truth, yet be unable to truly know when one sees it. Speak not of this to him, brother. You see both our aims. You know mine to be more worthy. Is your aim just strength for strength's sake? Because that's not... I don't know. I tell this to you. You and you alone. I am of the Alamegan Resistance. I fight for freedom from Garlemald. Okay, that adds some weight to it. I escaped the occupation. I have come here to fight, to gather allies and weapons. But these lands sadden me. The people have forgotten. Alamigo is a distant memory. The resistance here is small. They aid where they can, but it is not enough. The war demands great power. That power lies in the Chakra. The teacher is not an evil man, but he thinks only of his work, not the suffering of innocence. His knowledge can be used for good. The battlefields, they can turn the tide. The Chakra of many must be opened. If this way is lost to me, no. No, I will have this power. I must. An end to oppression. An end to starvation. Alamigo will be made free. I will see it done. And forgive my speech. It is a matter close to my heart. I will give you my device, but I ask you say nothing of this to Eric. I beg you, brother. Hey, I got the aetherometers. Wittergults looks a little wonky, though. I don't really know what's up with that. I trust you've returned with both of my aetherometers? Please, tell me you fumbling dolts haven't managed to damage either of them this time. An odd contraption powered from Wittergult used for measuring surrounding ether levels. Oh, it's the same. Okay. All looks to be in order here. These readings from your device. They look promising, very promising indeed. I dare say this data may yield revolutionary results. Your chakra opened up a bit more, did it? Yes, well, ether is a most mysterious and wonderful thing. I'm glad this meaningful research could serve your nonsensical ends as well. Now, leave me to my work. Surely you could find some simple way to pass the time? Fighting, say? I don't know, scratching? Is that a jab at me being a Makote? I learned Howling Fist. Oh, it's something new to burn my chakra on. Hell yeah. Oh, I also learned Mantra. Alright, well, that is where we will have to leave off for now, because I am not high enough level to continue this quest. We will reconvene when Ny'ardbert is at level 50, the former peak of monkhood. But yeah, for now, thanks for coming. See you in a bit. Alrighty, after much training and many mans punched, Ny'ardbert is at level 50 for monk, so let's finish out this storyline and get whatever the gear is for it. I'm actually kind of excited for this. Professor Eric would have you do his bidding yet again. You two played me for a fool. The data the simpleton monk brought me was absolutely astounding. Groundbreaking, revolutionary. Yet I remained objective in my analysis, as a scholar must. Poring over the data, I finally arrived at the disheartening conclusion. The two of you took measurements of the same area. The values were near identical, equivalences mocking me as I struggled to reconcile them. I could neither sleep nor eat, lest I waste time not drawing nearer the truth. And for what? Tell me, what is it you two were doing in the field? Bah, not this bloody chakra nonsense again. How many times must I tell you? It is naught but imperceptible ether. Call it what it is. And to think I had a mind to put your names under mine when my hypothesis was published. This life force, this spiritual energy, this God's forsaken eternal soul essence, I care not what primitive nomenclature those backward monks wish to assign it. It is ether, plain and simple. They claim you're so able to manipulate and amplify it through discipline and the opening of the so-called chakra. False! This is nothing more than the ethereal regulation of organisms, a basic and natural concept. In an attempt to explain that which science does not yet fully understand, the monks have erected an institution of control. Their preachings are unassailable by design, for none can disprove the existence of the unknowable. They promise power in return for abjection and servitude, control and power indeed, only that of man. It is the very essence of a religion and should be treated with contempt, as all religions should. Ether resides in all living things, as do natural mechanisms with the capacity to regulate it. This is simply life, not some mystical supernatural endowment. I concede, of course, the heightened mental faculties of man allow for the potential to gain conscious control over those mechanisms. Indeed, it would appear that you and the simpleton monk have already achieved that end. The indiscretion and impertinence of youth. I suppose it could be forgiven once. In my own youth, I was not the model of perfection you see before you. I too have made what some might call mistakes. Not myself, but some. In our talks together, the simpleton monk often spoke of the 7th chakra. Its awakening is thought to be the highest achievement among the monkhood. I make it a habit to know the tenets of my intellectual enemies. It was the flow of the ether within the two of you which betrayed your falsehood, the whispering of your chakra, as I'm sure the monks would rush to call it. But serendipity most often visits the industrious. Just so, it is precisely these ethereal whispers that prove to be the most intriguing. The waves of these sounds resonated perfectly with the ether of the battleground. I could see by your vapid expression that you're missing my point. Allow me to spell it out. It follows that if one were to visit a battlefield with a certain ethereal wave amplitude and frequency, it would resonate with one's own ether. This is the phenomenon responsible for the initial opening of your own chakra. I cannot believe I'm being reduced to speaking in these terms. It stands to reason, then, that for any ethereal wave, there may be a location that will resonate with it. Think of the implications, Ny'ardbert. If the 7th chakra the monks speak of truly exists, then so too must an ultimate battleground to bond with it. The concentration of ether in such a place would be unlike anything ever recorded. I forgive your past treachery. Guide me as it did to this great discovery. That, and I need you to do more work for me. Here, take this new etherometer. Make for Lark's Call in the East Shroud. My research indicates it's a very promising tract indeed. Set up the etherometer as you have the others in the past, and then kill whatever you must to obtain a strong reading. Slaying beasts there will release the ether of the land that they are steeped in, and it may then resonate with your own. I suppose in the primitive terms of the monkhood that would translate to the expansion of your chakra. Oh, and you'll not be crossing paths with the simpleton monk this time. I'll be sending him to take readings at East End. I have no intentions of allowing you two to conspire to impede my research again. So, I don't know if he's going to listen to you, but alright. If you care more to know about the events that have transpired at Lark's Call, I suggest you pay a visit to your local library. East End, on the other hand, is a fascinating subject of which I never tire of speaking. Ask me about it any time if your curiosity ever gets the better of you. Feeling that? Yeah, fuck it. Lore dump on me. East End is just that, the eastern end of the Black Shroud. I think I already read this. No, okay, hold on. Let's read that again. Oh boy, this is a long one. Oh shit. I made a mistake. Okay, here. He's down. The Autumn War marked the beginning of hostilities between Alamigo and Gridania. The first major victory in that war came at the First Battle of Tanoka, and it belonged to Alamigo. Defeated, the Gridanians retreated to the safety of 5 hangs. The front was splintered, and afterwards they would resort to opportunistic ambushes and the constant redeployment of troops to continue their resistance. The Alamegans, confident of ultimate victory, enjoined Gridania to surrender. As conditions, they demanded that all of the east and portions of the central shroud be relinquished, and perhaps more disturbingly, that the Seed Seers be taken as wards of Alamigo, where they would be met with no harm. Needless to say, Gridania refused. Providence was to be delivered to the Forestborn by the neighboring nation of Ishgard. Wary of Alamigo's ambitions for the region, the sea appealed to Limsaluminsa and Ul'dah for aid. The three joined Gridania in her declaration of war against Alamigo and sent troops to reinforce the front. But this was far from a gesture of charity. It is easy to see what the motives of the sea were. Should certain sections of the Black Shroud be annexed to Alamigo, Ishgard's southern and eastern borders would become extremely vulnerable to a possible invasion. For their part, Limsaluminsa and Ul'dah had virtually nothing to lose by entering into the war, and yet everything to gain by curbing the power of Alamigo in the realm. Even more victory would place Gridania in their debt. And so it came to pass that these 4 great nations joined into a grand alliance to combat the advance of Alamigo. The fighting which was to follow would later be named the Second Battle of Tenoqua. The heaviest and most devastating combat took place on a tract of land called East End. In the beginning, there were several small-scale skirmishes, but the Allied powers succeeded in foiling the stratagems of Alamigo at every turn. Feeling the tide turn against them, Alamigo dispatched its pikemen, known far and wide for their effectiveness against mounted units, such as the Knights of Ishgard. To rally the troops even more, King Manfred himself took them to the field to lead them. At first it seemed as though Alamigo had succeeded in reversing its fortune, as the Allies began a slow retreat towards East End. This was a clever ploy, however, designed to lure the pikemen into the dense growth of the forest, where their long polearms would be unwieldy and near useless. It was during these days that the archers of Gridania would prove their value beyond the bow, singing songs of heroism and glory in the field to bolster the Allied troops. It is said that this gave birth to the bard tradition. The archers of Gridania excelled at combat in the dense vegetation of the Black Shroud, and their arrows inflicted heavy casualties on the Alamegans. In the end, General Gilbard was slain, King Manfred severely wounded, and Alamigo completely and utterly defeated. And that is a brief summation of the history of East End, site of the end of the forest and the end of the war both. Do you know, I could almost feel you getting less stupid, Ny'ardbert. Alright. Let's go to Lark's Call. So. Yeah, this guy's an asshole, but he has been growing on me. Partially because, like, as much as he has very little tolerance for basically anything that he, like, considers flowery language, it does seem like he doesn't dismiss the concepts being presented. Like, he seems to understand the chakra concept almost as well as our monk bud. Even though he doesn't like calling it a chakra. So I'm curious to see if he's right or not. He's certainly speaking with confidence. But those are just people. Ether-bound current. Are they? No, they're not zombified. Things about there. This rotation is going to take some getting used to. There's a lot of moving parts. Oh, back to the guild. Okay, that was fast. I expected there to be more involved, considering this is like the third to last quest for this job line. Not for the job itself, just like this set of quests from them. I very much look forward to the readings of both your and Whittergilt's aetherometers. What's this? You've already finished. Then what are you standing there talking for? Come, come, give me the aetherometer. Amazing. Simply amazing. And your soul crystal, it's glowing more vibrantly than ever before, is it not? I'll begin my analysis of the data with all haste. You've come to be quite the model pupil, Ny'ardbert. Would that I could say the same of that monk simpleton. I can see the feeble gears turning in your mind. Come, there's no need to feel shame at your ignorance. If you wish to know what has transpired, you need only ask. I promise to use small words. Yes? Please tell me? But hold on while I pose with this rock. Alright, sorry about that. So what happened? Good vibes. The simpleton monk asked that I send you his way, should I see you. He waits for you at Little Alamigo in southern Thanalan. Surely you see Whittergelt for the danger he is. His is the most dangerous type of mind, one blinded by revolution and revenge. I do wish you'd tell him yourself that people should live for the future rather than the past. You thought I did not know he was of the Alamigan resistance. How saddening it is that on the rare occasions you do trouble yourself to think you are wrong. Of course I know. What manner of imbecile do you take me for? No doubt Whittergelt thinks me the idiot. False. These two eyes see far more than you know. I too am an Alamigan, and love my homeland every bit as much as he. Go now. Hurry to Little Alamigo. I will keep you no longer. No doubt Whittergelt is already awaiting your arrival. But do you have more lore? You do. Okay, the fate of makes it sound like there's something that's gonna come up. So let's do this first and go to Little Alamigo. Because he didn't prompt me to ask for lore. Whittergelt, what's your biz? You spoke to Eric. Do not lie to me, brother. You told him who I am, what I seek to do. I mean, he already knew. But, yeah, sure. I am not angered. He tried to sway me from my path. He believes resistance will only leave more dead. I expected as much from him. I feigned understanding. He asked much of me. Of the monkhood and the fist. He asked of the 7th chakra. My answers excited him. He said they would advance his studies. I too learned from him. I am near the 7th chakra now. Soon the resistance will rise. You too will see. Very soon. Others do not understand. Alamigo tried to protect them. We were the shield of the realm. We bled to fend off Gaulamald. None here know our suffering. None here can imagine it. The lives we led after the fall, after the shield was sundered. I've traveled far and wide. I've met many souls, but none are as you. You have a gift. Yours is a great strength, united to ours, brother. Help us reclaim our home. Your efforts will be rewarded. Look upon my garments. This is the war garb of the monkhood. It attunes to the wearer's chakra, enables it to realize its fullest expression. The cloth is imbued with the power of Ralgar. Only monks of his fist may don it, only those who overcome many trials. I will tell you how it can be yours. Fear not. I require you to speak no vows. I ask only that you fight with us. Give yourself to our cause. You long for adventure, I understand, but such longings can wait. This cannot. See Alamigo freed, then enjoy your own freedoms. What say you, brother?
What happens if I say no? Like, I'm sympathetic to Alamigo, but, like, that's 2 expansions away. Sure. You have the heart of a true monk. You are different from the others in this realm. Hear this. A set of our war garb was stolen. The Fist has tracked the bandits. We know now where three of the relics are. Here in southern Thanalan, the Sepulchre and the Circle of the Tempered, and in northern Thanalan, the abandoned Amagino Mithril mine. Your soul crystal will react to the relics. Draw near them, and they will glow. By this power, you can find them. The Fist's honor has been trampled upon. Make the heretics you find pay for their sins. Eric has sold his soul to this land, but he is a knowledgeable man. He knows more than I of the monkhood and of the Fist. Speak with him if you would know more of our way. The man revels in hearing himself speak. I await the day we fight side by side, brother. Go now, and go well. Okay, so there's 2 in this area and 1 in a different section of Thanalan. There are a bunch of you guys. Wow, that's going for a long ass time. Watched all your friends get killed and didn't have an issue. But now you do? Fine. That is not an entrance. Hello, assorted folk. You may remember me from when I was here, murdering a bunch of you from the gladiator quests. I don't need to do that now, so you can leave me alone. Cool. Hello, lunatic follower. Okay. And then Whittergill's probably back in Little Amigo. I found some of your stuff. You've returned. The first 3 relics are yours, and now the fist has located the 4th. There's a Queequern merchant who deals in contraband. The 4th relic is among his wares. Hurry to Lower Lenosia, find this Queequern, take back that which is now yours by right. I have a hunch that he, just has it. He bought it. I feel bad. Just roughing up this merchant for, I don't know, perceived ownership of something. But maybe not. Maybe it's an actual bandit. Hello. Stinky Makote. Come to stop Kikirun's business. Come to take shinies. Kill him. Kill the Stinky. I was gonna buy it, but okay. Hi. Oh, you got a bunch of customers there. Cool. Don't kill Kikirun. But please don't kill. Take back Monk Circle. Take and spare. Okay. I don't know why you jumped to that, but, you should think about that for yourself. The 4th relic is now yours. You've done well, brother. But know this, there's another relic, a 5th and final piece. It will be yours, a gift from brother to brother, given on the day El Amigo stands free once more. That day is near. Eric sent word not long ago. He claims his revolution has begun as well. He's made a grand discovery and is now setting it to paper. I look forward to his work. With it, we will know all we must. The day he finishes will be the day El Amigo is reborn. Return to him now, brother. Ask for yourself when that day will be. May Ralgar watch over you. You know, it didn't really occur to me until now. I wonder how Eric makes his money in the first place. Like, is he an author? Does his books make the money? Is he sponsored by some sort of greater organization? I'm afraid I haven't time for you now, Ny'ardbert. I'm penning my thesis based on the ethereal data you and the Simpleton collected. There have been significant developments since last we spoke. Or rather, since last I spoke and you stood before me with that ever-vapid expression. Soon I will complete my work and present it at a conference of my peers. Surely you can pass the time until then, punching and kicking and pursuing other monkly interests, yes? Go do that then. Alright, let's throw that gear we got in the armory chest and try it on. The only thing that's better, it's just the pants. Alright, I will put them on for the purpose of completion's sake. Do I feel the need to wear that hat? I really don't. Okay. This isn't a great look, but not the worst one either. Anyway, let's get going. My theory was correct! Correct, I tell you. This will be the greatest academic breakthrough of my lifetime, perhaps of all lifetimes. I shall spare you the details of my experiment, as you are not like to comprehend their significance anyway, and proceed directly to the all-important conclusion. The announcement of my theory before a council of my peers was met with thunderous applause, and to think I owe it all to a vacant-eyed adventurer and a simpleton monk. Both you and the Pugilists Guild that sent you are due a debt of gratitude. Speaking of the monk, where in Eorzea has that semi-literate oaf wandered off to? I took note of his attendance among the spectators at the conference, but he has yet to present himself and offer his congratulations. Ah! What have I done? Ny'ardbert, I fear the words I offered may have driven Wintergale to attempt the insane. I analyzed the ethereal waves of your bodies, second by second. I was able to isolate and identify those of the final ethereal regulation mechanism, the so-called 7th chakra. From that, I was able to find the land which was most likely to resonate with those waves. Silvertear Falls. I went inside myself to investigate, and it was there that I made my great discovery, the discovery of the century. It occurs to me that you shall never accomplish such a feat of the mind, Ny'ardbert, and I find myself pitying you. But I digress. Do you not see what I have done, Ny'ardbert? I've told him precisely where he must go to unlock the 7th chakra. He's given his life to fight to reclaim Alamigo from the Empire. More than everything, he desires the power needed to achieve that end. The power to combat the might of all Garlemald. Any fool can see that. Almost any fool can see that he imagines the 7th chakra to be that power. Yet battling the Empire on such terms will only result in another tragedy like that which befell Alamigo. I pray you do not mean to follow him in this fool's crusade. He has gone to Silvertear Falls in Mordona, I am certain of it. You must go, Ny'ardbert, you must stop him. My words will not sway him, just as they could not sway my son. Perhaps yours will. Why Silvertear Falls? My dear poor Ny'ardbert, what do you not know about Silvertear Falls could fill a book, and has multiple times over, I'm sure. Since ancient times, the falls in the region of Mordona, in which they are located, have been believed to be the seat of a great spiritual energy, as less advanced people want to call it. So old are these beliefs that the tomb of Xander himself, the first emperor of Alag, was built deep beneath the surface of Mordona, in the hope that the mystical power which resided under the lake would raise him from the dead. Oh, there are any number of legends and myths surrounding the place. I think the oldest and most widely known would have to be the Dragon of the Falls. I do not claim to be a folklorist, but I can certainly provide the general tale. There was the birth of Althik, god of time among the 12, and in turn his younger sister Nymea, goddess of fate. And then there was water, and through it Silvertear Falls came to be at the center of all that was. Here was the source, not only of water, but the font of all magic as well. Now, when the water came into being, so too did the great dragon Midgardstormer. Brother Time and sister Fate, fearing the falls might fall into the hands of evil, ordered Midgardstormer to their protector and warden. Much later, with the arrival of man, would Midgardsormr be worshipped as the guardian deity of Silvertear Falls. Have you been to Silvertear Falls, Ny'ardbert? Or are you as untraveled as you are unread? Have you gazed upon the enormous dragon corpse, frozen as a statue with wings outspread? If you have gazed upon Midgardsormr. That tragedy is but 10 years old. After invading my home of Alamigo, the Garleans launched a fleet of airships, led by the monstrosity Agrius. They flew for Silvertear Falls, knowing them to harbor the greatest concentration of ether. And then, as those horrific instruments of evil loomed overhead, casting the dark shadow of death, the surface of the lake suddenly parted and burst skyward as Midgardsormr emerged to defend his waters. The battle between Midgardsormr and the Agrius has since come to be known as the Battle of Silvertear Skies. The dragon fought with divine strength and purpose, and after a fierce and grueling struggle, succeeded in bringing down the airship. As it fell into the lake, the impact caused the ceruleum on board to detonate, and Midgardsormr was killed, his corpse charred black in the conflagration. The structure formed by the wreckage of the Agrius and the entangled remains of Midgardsormr is now called the Keeper of the Lake. For many religious and mythological enthusiasts, it stands as proof of the existence of the gods. For most people, however, it serves as a grim reminder of the horrific, dare I say, deicidal power of Garlemald. Why did that dragon appear that day? Was it truly the Midgardsormr, the legendary guardian of Silvertear Falls? Such questions and more remain unanswered. For my part, I make the entire debacle for an elaborate Garlean fabrication acted out to near perfection. But let us put aside dragons and empires and speak instead of mine own latest discovery at the lake. The ether of the area is in an extremely chaotic state. I had long thought this to be the result of the Battle of Silvertear Skies, but I've learned that it is not the case. The disturbances I have observed do not all derive from a single source. Beyond the imperceptible ether emitted by the Keeper of the Lake, there are even stronger ethereal waves coming from deep below the earth to the east. I studied them in great detail, and learned that they are coming from a massive tower that was buried deep below the earth at the time of that battle, the Crystal Tower. To think I had stumbled upon this legendary structure, the very height of Allegan civilization and technology. The shifting and grinding of the earth caused by the calamity woke the tower from its slumber of some 5,000 years. And having since slowly risen from its earthen tomb, the tower pierces the skies once more. You must someday gaze upon it with your own eyes. It is truly a sight to behold. Yes, I could still recall the thunderous applause of my colleagues when I presented my theory of the tower. They were a great deal more grateful than you, that much is certain. There's a team of scholars who specialize in the study of all things Allegan. They are known as the Sons of St. Colnoch. At present, they are focusing their efforts on testing the validity of this theory. I very much look forward to news of their findings. Okay. Before I go try to 1v1 this dude at the lake, because I have to assume that's what's going to happen, what can you tell me about monks? The monks and the Fist of Ralgar are interesting in the same way as any other organized religion. A sad, pathetic, and humorous way. The brothers and sisters of the monkhood are those souls training in the service of Ralgar, god of destruction among the 12. The Fist of Ralgar is their order. This barbaric cult traces its origins back several centuries to Alamigo. The simpleton Widdergelt is one of their number. The Fist teaches those foolish enough to listen that through rigorous training of the mind and body, and with constant invigoration and refinement, one can approach the sublimity of Ralgar himself. Such is the power of that concentration that they are able to master the ether within their bodies and channel it in a manner that grants them immense destructive power. The monkhood insists on calling this internal essence spiritual energy or life force, but trust me when I say it is nothing other than ether. Endowed with this brutish, unthinking gift for hitting things very hard, the entire cult has evolved into a sort of clergy with martial proclivities. This was no doubt a result of their main temple being located in Girabania, a region plagued by warfare where knowing how to protect oneself is essential. As the years passed, however, what began as a simple group of religious fanatics fighting to protect themselves grew into an ambitious organization of religious fanatics taking part in the region's power struggles. Those in power in Alamigo grew wary of these war priests who proclaimed all their fights to be fought in the name of a god, and who'd employed deadly force without the slightest hesitation. And so, rather than make enemies of the monks, they decided instead to use them to their benefit. Through affiliation with the Alamigan royal family, the Fist of Ralgar was incorporated into the nation's standing army. This not only granted the monks a great deal of power, but furnished them with all of the rights accorded protectors of the citizenry, and their political influence was still growing. And how'd that go? I confess I find great joy in studying the demise of a religion, and even greater joy in recounting it. The power of the Fist of Ralga grew unchecked in Alamigo, and it was eventually named the state religion. After this, its influence over political, economic, and cultural spheres of life became even more considerable. Needless to say, this did not sit well with one and all. Among them was the last and most ugsome of Alamigan royalty, the King of Ruin, Theodoric. The rise of the Fist meant a potential rival for power, and he would not suffer the monkhood to encroach on his prerogatives. To counter their claim of religious righteousness, he simply conjured his own out of thin ether, proclaiming that the throne was his by divine right, given him by the word of Ny'ardbert herself, master of Ralgar. He then banned the worship and likenesses of Ralgar and all other gods, and demanded that the prayers and praises of Alamigo be given to Ny'ardbert and her alone. In doing so, he sought to establish his own absolute, uncontested rule. Naturally, the Fist and other worshippers of Ralgar throughout the nation rose in protest, precisely as Theodoric had known they would. He used the uprisings as a pretext to imprison several high-ranking monks, whom he then tortured until they confessed their order's plans to topple his rule. In 1552, the 6th Astral Era, Theodoric led a vast army to the site of the monkhood's main temple and surrounded it. Monks, novices, and devotees, including the elders, refugees seeking shelter after the fires of war, had turned their homes to ash. Servants and peasants hired to do no more than till the fields. None were left alive. The monks fought heroically, but were hopelessly outnumbered. With the massacre of that day, nearly all of the monkhood perished. The elders, the keepers of the tradition and its knowledge, resided within the temple grounds. It was thought that all versed in the ways of the Chakra were lost. But then what of this Wittergeld simpleton? Just who is he? Perhaps the end of the Fist was not the end of the monks after all. Fascinating. Okay, let's go beat him up. I would not have guessed that Monk was the history major class. So take your bets. Do we kill the guy or just surpass him and show him the error of his ways? I legitimately don't know. It could be something else entirely. He could turn into a fucking dragon for all I know. Well, that's not a good sign. Oh, those are garlands. Okay, that helps a little. You know what? I do have one thing that I can do. Wittergeld. We have to talk. You claimed the power of Garlemald. Fools. Power outside your own cannot be trusted. You had no hope of defeating me. The 7th chakra swells within me. Soon it will open. When it does, the Empire will burn. And the power of Magitek, the power of Garlemald. They are nothing. Alamigo fell to these! Ah, brother. Late. Perhaps that is the best. I have just attended our Garlean guests. They wanted us to be alone.
And what of these fellows?
Eric was right. This is the place. We have come. Our chakra beats as drums. Do not feel it, brother. Living in constant fear of death, struggling to stay warm enough to sleep, eating crumbs to fight hunger. Garlemald took everything from Alamigo. They left us nothing, not even our pride. Look to the craven teacher. He is proof of the truth I speak. I will reclaim it, all of it, but I need great power to do so. The power rests in the 7th chakra. I made you a promise. I have not forgotten. The 5th and final piece. It is yours to claim, but only if you defeat me.
Why? Okay.
I told you when we first met. We monks seek sacred ground. There we train. That is how the chakras are opened. The teacher told me himself. This is where the 7th chakra opens. This is my sacred battleground. The ground of battle between you and me. Your strength is peaked. Through it, mine will grow. Do not despair. Your death will have purpose. It will be for Alamigo. Rejoice, brother. You shall die a martyr.
Alright. Let's go. Alright, where'd it go? Just use me. Do I... what? Do I run away from that? Do I tank it? It healed some. Not like a ton, but...
So close. Why? Why will you not wield your power? For the greater good.
I'm not convinced that's actually what you're here for.
Stay back. This power is mine. The others of Eorzea ignore our suffering. Why should I care for their lives? Why should I care for yours? I must have that power. I must protect my people. Ny'ardbert, that power. That light. Never have I seen anything like it. Seen any like it. Is this the opening of the seventh chakra? Fascinating. Simply fascinating. You have no mind for study, but your gift for fieldwork is extraordinary indeed. Why? Why did you strike me? Silence, you bloody fool, you oaf, you idiot! I would strike you 1,000 times more if it did not pain my hands so. Next time I shall bring a stick. Bugger, opening your infernal chakra and opening your bloody ears for once. Sid Garland of the Ironworks, that bears his name, once wrote that these Silver Tear Falls lie at the center of our world. Our world is round. We live on its surface. Even you should see, then, that he did not speak of a center in the physical sense. I am no astrologian nor a biologist, but I have studied enough of the various sciences to say this. The vital energy of Heidelin, that which is called ether, is one and the same as the life force in which you monks believe. As the center of our world, these Silver Tear Falls are connected to what you call chakra in an inexplicably profound way. We all share in the same existence. We are neither separate nor distinct from the world. Our energy and its energy are one. At times, that energy may wreak havoc and destruction, but it plays a far grander and more significant role. To bring forth life. As part of this world, you must endeavor to do the same. You sought only to gain power by force. In that, you are no different than the very Garleans you seek to destroy. Is this what you truly wish to be? You speak pretty words, but would you speak them to our people, to every soul who has suffered? To children with empty bellies, to our wives made widows? I would, to every last soul among them. Even if they failed to grasp their meaning as you do now, I would and will speak those words until they understood. Long have I studied the history of this realm's wars. If there is aught I have learned, it is that there is no future for Eosia should her people struggle and vie for power without considering the consequences of their doing so. With great power comes great responsibility. To seize the former and deny the latter is to beget despair. The duty we owe to one another, and to this world as a part of it, is to use what power we possess to deliver a future full of life, not death. Can you truly not see the right in this? You've done the realm, indeed the world, a great service, Ny'ardbert. As a scholar, as a teacher, as an Alamegan, as a man, I offer you my deepest thanks. An ancient fighting spirit opens your chakra. Wittergelt is stubborn, as most monks are. I do not know if it will be possible for him to change his mind, but I pray he does, for his own sake and for the world's. He calls you his brother. Go now. Speak to him as one. Not long ago I spoke with a man, an Alamegan. He too was of the resistance. He asked me a simple question. Why do I fight? I did not hesitate. I did not think. The word came of its own will. Revenge. He said revenge is in all of our hearts. It is the most common of reasons, the easiest, and the most dangerous. I did not think on it then. Perhaps now I should. I thought of nothing else, but you thought of me, brother. You and the teacher. For that, I thank you both. Oh, okay. I made a promise, I will keep it. The 5th piece is yours. It is meant for you, for one whose 7th chakra is open. Alamigo fought to protect itself, to protect all Eorzea from the Empire. And yet we are despised, ignored. Worse, we are forgotten. Even so, the teacher preached peace. For a long time I did not understand. I hated him for it. Alamegans are a proud people. This pride is strong in me, and in the teacher, as it was in his son. He fought in the resistance, yet it cost him his life. He too cursed his father for being a coward. I wish I could speak to him. I wish to tell him this is not so. Farewell, brother. May Ralgar watch over you. This concludes the monk quest for A Realm Reborn. Brad. Cool, let's try on the new armor that you gave us. Let's just try this on. Let's see. Oh, it's so ugly. These can't be dyed, can they? Alright, well, you know what? We'll put it on anyway. Okay, it doesn't look that bad put all together. No, Ny'ardbert the monk. Alright. Well, that is where this particular adventure will wrap up for now, at least. I guess we'll come back to this mid to late Heavensward to move on for the 50 to 60 quests. Or maybe it's already Stormblood time. I honestly don't know when this is going up. But yeah. See you next time, folks. You who have journeyed the realm, borne witness to ethereal wonders that shape our very destiny. You whose 7th chakra has begun to open, you would pose to me an inquiry befitting a suckling babe. You are either a man of rare enlightenment, or a fool. I think it's both. As I likely explained, if you ever bothered to ask me about monks in the Fist of Ralgar, the King of Ruin, Theodoric, was a ruthless despot and tyrant. It should come as no surprise, then, that he was the last king of Alamigo. But the tale of his rise and fall is the stuff we historians live for. Theodoric's lust for power was such that nothing less than absolute rule would appease him. To counter the political influence of the Fist of Ralgar, he proclaimed the kingship to be the product of divine will, ordained by Ny'mia herself. What followed was a crusade which sought to exterminate the monks entirely. Yet, it was the truly depraved acts of barbarism to come that would shake Alamegan society to its very core. This ensuing era of terror was what earned Theodoric the title King of Ruin. After the massacre at the Fist's main temple, religious opposition to Theodoric nearly disappeared altogether. He then began purges of the Alamegan royalty, seeing any and all potential pretenders to his throne dead and buried, regardless of house, loyalties, or standing. Beheadings were commonplace, carried out daily. Before long, it looked as though Theodoric would have no heads left to take. But he then turned his wrath upon any soul with a claim to the throne, no matter how remote. After that, it was to be the empowered nobles and wealthy merchants. Fearing for their lives, they professed their innocence to the queen, pleading for her to stay her maniacal husband's hand. She attempted words to assuage his lust for power, turned lust for blood, but he was deaf to her appeals. Finding no recourse, she conspired with a group of nobles to murder Theodoric. Yet before the regicide could take place, one among them betrayed their plot, and for their treason the king saw them all less ahead. This only served to compound Theodoric's paranoia and insanity. Distrustful of all, his purges now became little more than random executions, claiming the lives of noble and beggar and all in between. It is not difficult to imagine what transpired next. The palace became a despicable gathering of sycophants and backstabbers, and the common folk scarce left their homes. Seeking heads on which to lay blame for worsening conditions, Theodoricus turned his axe upon his most loyal followers. When the oppression became too much to bear, the people revolted and stormed the palace. The royal guard cast aside their vows and allowed the Alamegans to pass. A noble revolt? For the best, no? False. It was the absence of leadership and solidarity in the wake of this chaos that prompted Garlemald to attack. In the end, Theodoric was lucid enough to judge suicide preferable to death at the hands of an angry mob. He ended his own life, and with it his reign of ruin and his own bloodline. Or so it was thought at the time. But Theodred, a nephew to the king, was hidden by his mother in a remote temple of the Fist of Relgar, which had survived the purges, and thus he escaped his uncle's fury. And that is the history of the last king of Alamigo, and many a lesson there is to be learned from it. It is only a pity you are too dull to do so. You know, I appreciate our little talks. But also fuck right off.